I'm going to enjoy a trip with my sister, using your card. Scott had been acting apprehensive at home recently and had been covertly speaking with his sister a lot. I was correct to prepare ahead of time since I had a sneaking suspicion that they were planning anything other than the trip. Perhaps I should act a bit taken aback. What does using my card signify to you? Describe. Scott's departure on a trip today was already known to me. I was very amazed. I wish he had done a bit more planning if he was going to put something up. I've put up with everything has come my way up until now, but I've had enough. I've decided to retaliate and started implementing the plan I had prepared before the trip. It's time for us, who have been oppressed by this corrupt brother and sister, to fight back. By the end of today, I should be able to say goodbye to all misfortunes. He didn't know that someone who was accompanying him on the trip was actually my ally, so he might as well enjoy it. I'm a 33-year-old working housewife named Megan Brown. My spouse, Scott, and I reside in a recently acquired home. I began working at my present employer as soon as I graduated from high school, accumulating experience and a variety of credentials for professional progression. I was given a management position at the age of 21 since my credentials and performance were appropriately assessed at this organization. Although I'm a supervisor now, it appears that I was the youngest and fastest person to occupy this position at this organization. In my heart, I want to advance to the position of department head. One day, several new employees were assigned, including Scott. I was slightly younger than him, but I was his supervisor at work. I was appointed as the trainer for Scott and 2 other newcomers. Megan, you're about our age, right? And you're already a supervisor? Yes, I've been working here since graduating from high school. I think I'm probably a year younger than you. It's amazing that you've worked hard since high school. I really respect you. Back then, he frequently complimented me. After that, Scott actively pursued me, and although I was reluctant at first, I eventually fell in love with him. We went on lovely dinners and drives, and our relationship grew like any other romance, eventually leading to us living together. Over time, Scott's sloppy habits began to show, but I figured it was because he felt comfortable around me, so I accepted it. After living together for a while, he proposed, and discussing future plans like meeting each other's parents and our wedding was a very happy time. Until Scott suddenly expressed his wishes after marriage. Megan, I want you to quit your job and take care of our home. I'll work outside and I want you to protect our home. I'm also thinking about having children soon, and I'm looking forward to our wedding in our own home. We'll have the wedding first, then buy a home, and think about children after that. What do you think? Scott, that sounds wonderful. I'm not worried about the order, but I am concerned about the costs. Even though we have savings, I don't plan to be a stay-at-home mom and intend to take maternity leave when we have a child. That's a concern for sure, but I don't like the idea of you earning more than me. I plan to buy a home after the wedding. What do you think? That might be a tough conversation. I currently earn more, but I think we can manage the wedding and home, so maybe we should think about children a bit later. Let's consider my job situation then. All right, that sounds good. Although I had no intention of quitting my job, I made such suggestions to prevent Scott from complaining indefinitely. Later, we held a pre-wedding meeting with both families, but Scott's sister was absent due to her travel and would meet me for the first time on the wedding day. On the day of the wedding, Scott's sister entered the bride and groom's waiting room without knocking and looked me up and down, snorting with laughter. Scott's choice of girls is plain, isn't it? She's completely different from his usual type. Oh, I'm Hillary. Nice to meet you. I'll be your sister-in-law from now on. I don't hold back within the family. Nice to meet you. I'm Megan Brown. I look forward to getting along with you. She ignored my greeting and just waved her hand and left, leaving me standing there in shock. She would later prove to be a troublesome figure. I also exchanged greetings with her husband, who gave a decent impression. After the wedding, as Scott wished, we went to view a house. We selected a house that both agreed on and purchased it, renewing our commitment to our work and our future life together. One holiday, when our newlywed life was finally settling down, the sudden ring of the doorbell caught me off guard. I asked Scott to answer it. He returned to the room chatting happily, and the unexpected visitor was his sister. "Hello, Megan." And wow, Scott, you're doing great. You're working hard enough to buy such a lovely house. You really are my brother, right? I'm working hard. Think of this as your family home and relax. Megan, get some snacks and food ready. My sister is here, so hurry up. His sister's visit made him act more arrogantly than usual, and I felt somewhat uncomfortable with his attitude. It seemed he was telling his sister that he had bought the house by himself. In fact, I contributed the down payment and was also paying the mortgage. But Scott insisted on putting the house under his name, so I let him do so. Whose name it was under didn't matter much to me, but explaining that to his sister was a bit irritating. However, I thought it was childish to point it out right then, so I let it go to save Scott's face. Here are some snacks. Scott really does work hard. Megan, you sound so bossy. Are you his boss or something? Yes, I am Scott's boss. Right, didn't I mention it? When I joined, Megan was already a supervisor because she had been working there since high school. Well, it's only a matter of time before I surpass her. Oh, you're a high school grad? You seem so serious, but your education is lower than mine. Is there a problem with being a high school graduate? No problem at all, but it's nice that you're younger than me, and since you're a high school grad and I'm a college grad, I can ask for favors. Exactly, Megan. If you defy what my sister says, I'll kick you out of the house. Their incomprehensible statements gave me a headache. Did my position as a high school graduate and being younger than my sister-in-law mean that any request from her got approved? Moreover, the idea that not obeying would get me kicked out of the house was baffling. Could this be a joke? I managed a wry smile and hurried to the kitchen. Their conversation still reached my ears while I was there. It seemed they were serious. When the conversation paused, my sister-in-law came to the kitchen. Megan, I have a favor to ask. What is it? I need to borrow some money. How much are you talking about? About $5,000, please. $5,000? That's not a small amount. What do you need it for? Oh yeah. I'm short for some renovations. It's just $5,000, right? You're a supervisor, so you have a good salary. Isn't your home new? Did I say that? Whatever. Just give it to me. Scott told me to ask you because he said you'd lend it to me. What? How dare you? Megan, just hand over the money to my sister. If you don't, I'll call your boss right now and tell them you want to quit. All right, I understand. But Hillary, if I'm lending you the money, you need to write a promissory note. A promissory note? Even though we're family? Especially because we're family. I want you to write it. Please bring an ID with a photo when I give you the money. How troublesome. But if I'm getting the money, fine. I'll bring it tomorrow night, so be ready. I ended up agreeing to lend money to my sister-in-law, but due to a bad feeling, I decided to have her write a promissory note to ensure repayment. Despite complaining, she brought the necessary items as promised the next day. After getting married, I was truly shocked by Scott's attachment to his sister, and I was simply dumbfounded. It seemed no matter what I said, he wouldn't listen. Later, it turned out that the money I lent my sister-in-law wasn't used for renovations, but for buying luxury brands. Once I started lending her money, her demands escalated, and the frequency of her borrowing money increased. Of course, I always made her sign a promissory note, but I had lent her about $12,000 in just 1 month. Just as I was thinking that this was too much, I was called by my boss. To my surprise, I was offered a promotion to be a director, which really made me happy. I couldn't contain my excitement and immediately went home to tell Scott, who was on leave. "I'm home." "Hey, Scott, listen." "Welcome back, Megan. You look happy. What happened?" "Yes, I was called by my boss today. I thought it was something serious, but they talked about promoting me to director. I've always wanted to become the head of the department, and I'm so happy to be one step closer." "What? Megan, you're getting promoted? I don't know what you're thinking, but did you really accept that?" "Yes, of course. Haven't I talked about this goal before?" "Well, I heard about it, but you need my permission before you get promoted. What are you thinking? I told you I wanted you to be a housewife. And why is it that I'm still a regular employee and only you are getting promoted? That's not right." "Why you can't get promoted, I don't know, but I've always said I'm not quitting my job." After this exchange, Scott immediately made a phone call. I thought he was calling his sister, and sure enough, a few minutes later, she arrived at our house. "What have you done? You stole Scott's promotion." "No, I haven't taken anything. Our company promotes based on ability." "Are you saying Scott lacks ability? How dare you act so high and mighty as a daughter-in-law? This is impossible. She's so irritating. Let's go eat steak with Megan's money to calm down." The two of them started rummaging through my wallet, and despite my desperate resistance, they overpowered me and took my bank card. They left laughing, and I couldn't stop the tears of frustration. Regretting marrying into this family was too late now. I had to find a divorce lawyer immediately. That day, Scott didn't return home. The next day, when I went to work, Scott was already there, grinning as he approached me. "Yesterday was incredibly fun. Food tastes better when it's paid for with someone else's money." "Thanks." The receipt he handed showed $11,200 at a high-end steak restaurant and a total of $6,000, including receipts from nightclubs. I wanted to retort, but as employees started arriving, I couldn't say anything. After work, I rushed to the bank to check my account and found that $88,000 had been withdrawn. Feeling my face heat up with anger, I confronted Scott at home. "Scott, what have you done? High-end steak? Nightclubs? You spent $88,000 of the money I saved when I was single." "Shut up already. I don't care whether it was money you saved when you were single. I've already spent it, so there's nothing you can do about it." With that, Scott escaped to the bathroom. I couldn't bear it anymore. At that moment, I firmly resolved to get divorced. To initiate divorce mediation, I headed to a law firm over the weekend. Weeks flew by, and preparations for the divorce were steadily progressing. Since that incident, Scott often came home late at night and left the house early on weekends, exhibiting suspicious behavior. Just as I was considering hiring a detective, I received a call from Hillary's husband, Ethan. "Hello, this is Ethan, Hillary's husband. May I speak with Megan, please?" "Hello, Ethan. It's been a while." "What's the matter?" "It's been a while indeed. Sorry to bother you suddenly, but I can't seem to find Hillary and was wondering if she might be with you." "Hillary? She hasn't come over." "Is that so?" "Recently she's been coming home late, and she leaves without saying anything on weekends. Yesterday, when I asked where she was, she said she was at Scott's place, so I decided to call you." "Is that so?" "Actually, Scott has been acting similarly. They might be going somewhere together. It's a matter that's becoming irrelevant to me now, but there's something I'd like to tell you, Ethan. Can you keep listening?" "Becoming irrelevant?" "Understood. What happened?" I explained everything about the past events and the amount of money I lent to my sister-in-law. After listening, Ethan let out a big sigh and said, "I see. I'm really sorry for my wife's behavior. I've been at my limit as well and was considering divorce, but I just couldn't make up my mind. If it helps, You're welcome to use the evidence I've collected. Why don't you join me in getting a divorce? It's pitiful to let this continue. We need to show those selfish and untrustworthy siblings a lesson. Thank you. Let's do our best together. Actually, I suspect that Hillary and Scott might be planning a trip. Ethan then shared that he had been asked to take a long break and mentioned finding travel brochures on the dressing table. While still on the phone, I checked a shelf that Scott had kept me from accessing and found travel brochures and business cards from nightclubs, confirming their plans. Ethan, I found brochures here as well. They seem to be planning a trip. I have an idea. After sharing my plan, Ethan agreed. With a laugh, we decided to keep in touch via messages to plan further steps and ended the call. I sent him evidence favorable for the divorce and crafted a perfect plan. One morning, about 2 weeks later, I noticed Scott leaving the house before dawn. However, I had been warned by Ethan the day before, so I was prepared for Scott's actions. A few hours later, Scott called, sounding triumphant. I'm going to enjoy a trip with my sister using your card. Scott had been secretly talking with his sister a lot lately and had been showing signs of unease at home. I had suspected that they were plotting something besides the trip, and I was right to have prepared in advance. Maybe I should pretend to be surprised a little. What do you mean by using my card? Explain? Wait, you really didn't notice? You're so clueless. I've been planning this trip with my sister for a long time. To make sure everything went smoothly, we decided to have Ethan come along. Recently, you have been getting too carried away, and my sister said we need to teach you a lesson. It's 3 against 1. You don't stand a chance. Now you understand, right? You can't oppose us. I think I don't have to put up with this any longer. Right? Having been insulted and enduring so much until now, a bit of retaliation seemed justified. I had no more feelings for them. Sorry, Scott, I didn't quite catch you. Could you repeat that? You must be shocked and didn't hear me, huh? I'll tell you again then. I'm using your cash card to go on a trip. What? The card is in my wallet, though. What are you talking about? I have it here. Wait, what is this? Did you just realize? That's a bit slow of you, Scott. I think what you took was my old fitness club membership card. They have similar designs, easy to mix up. No way, I checked in, made sure it was the cash card. Did you? Hey, I heard everything. Explain yourself. It was definitely a cash card when I saw it. Now, if Hillary knew, it means you two conspired to steal the cash card from my wallet again, doesn't it? You see, I switched my bank card and the membership card last night, and you went all the way to New York without checking. What is this? The worst. What have you done? That's my line. Sorry it didn't go as you two planned. How dare you be so presumptuous? Remember this when you get home. That's fine. I've prepared a gift for you too. So, look forward to returning home. Trying to bribe me with things? I only accept cash. That will be a surprise for when you get home. But sis, what do we do now? Megan, send us money. I found their conversation worthless. So I hung up and decided to go back to sleep since it was still early in the morning. But soon, a message from Scott arrived. Megan, send money right now. Ethan is here. I replied simply, Is that so? And went back to sleep. In the afternoon, I was woken up by the ringing of my phone. Checking the display, I saw an unusual number of missed calls and messages. As the phone kept ringing, I decided to call Ethan first, then answer Scott's call. Finally, you picked up your phone. You're late. Please send money quickly. We're freezing here. It's February, and they were in New York, which must have been very cold. Why don't you ask Ethan for help? Oh, isn't he there? You definitely know something. Ethan has disappeared, so help us now. I'll let you know then. Since you and Hillary were conspiring, I teamed up with Ethan. The initial call was just to buy time for Ethan to get back. I hung up after receiving a message that he had boarded the plane home. He should be arriving soon. Do you understand the situation? You were conspiring with my husband. No, we were cooperating to take revenge on you, too. So now you'll have to manage on your own. Goodbye. With that, I ended the call. Ethan would be arriving soon to discuss future actions. I contacted a lawyer to come over, and we conducted the final meeting for the divorce before Scott and Hillary returned home. The reason I gathered Ethan and the lawyer was because I anticipated that Scott and his sister would definitely come to confront us. A few hours later, just as expected, they returned and immediately started shouting. "Hey, Megan, you've really done it now. Prepare yourself because I'm going to kick you out of this house." "Ethan, why did you come back alone? Are you okay with being abandoned by me?" "Shut up. Just sit down." Ethan, usually calm, raised his voice, causing Scott and his sister to sit down in shock. At that moment, the lawyer took out his business card and handed it to Scott and Hillary. They stared blankly at the card. "Here is our gift to you. Please read it carefully." Ethan and I handed them a stack of documents, and as they reluctantly began to read, their faces quickly turned pale. "Wait a minute. This mentions compensation, but you're not seriously saying you want to divorce me, are you?" "My documents say the same thing." "Yes, we are getting divorced. Did I do something wrong?" "A divorce must be a joke." "I think so too." "Ethan, let's go home together." "Okay." Including the calls during the trip, all the verbal abuse you've spewed daily has been recorded. From a certain point, you really don't understand what you have done, huh? I've endured mental anguish from your emotional abuse, so I can't stay married to you any longer. Are you really okay with this? Of course. I will also claim half of the down payment and mortgage for the house, as well as the money you spent from my savings when I was single. I will have Hillary repay the money I loaned her and the money spent together with Scott. Wait, no. Didn't Scott buy the house? And stop making up things about borrowing and spending. Hillary, please read the documents we provided. They include all the promissory notes for the money I lent you. I won't acknowledge these documents without proof. I'll just do this. Me too. Give me that voice recorder. Scott forcibly took the recorder from me and crushed it. His sister tore up the documents and threw them away. Then they glared at us with a triumphant expression. Scott, do you really think destroying that will erase the data on the computer? The same goes for you, Hillary. No matter how much you tear up those documents, they're not the originals, so you're just wasting your energy. What? Really? Such shallow thinking. I will also claim the savings you misused from you, Hillary. By the way, say hello to your favorite guy from the nightclub from me. Perhaps realizing their defeat, the two started wailing like children. The claims against Scott included $5,000 in compensation, $100,000 for half of the house down payment, and another $10,000 for additional expenses, totaling $115,000. Additionally, he would need to pay $2,000 for ongoing mortgage repayments. My claim against Hillary included $88,000 for misused funds and $23,000 for the promissory notes, totaling $31,000. Ethan claimed $30,000 from his wife for her infidelity and nightclub expenses, along with $9,000 for other misuses, totaling $120,000 without any property division. Both lacked basic understanding and might have thought about rushing to court. However, the lawyer had noted at the end of the documents, filing a lawsuit will only incur additional costs, and you have no chance of winning in court. It would be wise to focus on repayment. Thus, concluding the discussion. Afterwards, I packed up all my belongings and left the house. Scott's actions somehow became known at his company, and having lost his credibility, he was transferred to another branch. Only a few weeks had passed when Scott contacted me again. "Megan, I really want to see you. I never thought I'd feel so lonely without you. Is there a chance we could start over? You can keep working as much as you like. Sorry, but no. Goodbye." "Megan, it's Hillary. I also think you should start over with my brother. Maybe there was some misunderstanding between us, and I'm sure we can do better next time. Let's live together this time." "Hillary, I firmly refuse. Sorry, but I hope I never have to see you again." They pleaded, but I ignored all of it, blocking their contacts and setting up call rejections. Ethan received similar messages, but he responded in the same way. Later, when I passed by the old house in a taxi, it had already been put up for sale. Since I had demanded the repayments in a lump sum, I completely cut off contact with them, leaving their current situation unknown to me. I myself bought a new apartment. After moving out, with the stress gone, my work went well, and I recently received a notification from my boss about my promotion to head of the department. Ethan and I often went out to eat, and despite the age difference, his calm demeanor and gentle nature always brought a smile to my face. Our thoughts were similar, and I felt I had a good connection with him. After the divorce, my life has been bright, and everything has been going well. Every day, I am truly glad I decided to divorce. Well, what happened next between Ethan and me will remain a story for another time.